Welcome back to the Bill and Ray Show. I'm out in the torch shop to make another marble. Imagine that. We're going to do something kind of pokey inside. So let's get fired up and see what we can make. We're going to start out just running straight onto a clear 19mm clear rod to build our marble on. Got my mug here handy in case I need a sip. But we're going to hide that underneath the bench. You don't want any glass shards going into your coffee cup. So hope everybody's doing all right. We're doing pretty good here, but yeah, we got back into a cold snap. 24 degrees this morning. I think my hops are going to be a little grumpy about that. They were starting to come up pretty good. They were probably a foot high. This happens a lot of spring times where things start growing and then we get a frost. But this is kind of a hard freeze. Supposed to do it again tonight. Not really good, but it's beautiful out. And hopefully our starts in the greenhouses will be just fine. So this marble construction is going to involve some winding layers of color, some fume cane, and then we're going to manipulate that with our trusty little bed of nails. We made our Costco run to Missoula yesterday. We went up through Lolo, which is a little way south of Missoula, and it was a full-on snowstorm. Snow covering the roads, visibility about 2 car lengths. It was nuts. And then on the way home, roads were bare, dry, sun was out. Well, I think the sun was out. It's nice out anyway. Welcome to springtime in the Rockies. Once again, building up a gather, trying to imagine just how big of a blob I need here to start with. So this is one of these where I'm going to actually start out with the clear as a cone shaped end and start building up some layers. Well, in some ways this is the most straightforward concept. It's actually something I don't really do all that often. We have some crazy constructions going on before I jump into this phase. I like to have kind of this large diameter so that I have kind of a substantial base on the front face of the cone. Okay. So, what are we going to show first? We've got some blue-green here. I think I'm going to just do most of this just spiraled on. And this is all going to be highly manipulated, so this phase, nothing has to be all that special. Don't have to worry too much about how this is going together. Like most of my work, this is a pretty organic design. A certain degree of chaos is helpful. So that was some blue-green. What else we got here? I'm going to do some blue exotic. This one's got a lot of metal in it. And I'm going to cross these over. I'm going to kind of squish this down. Okay, then made up a couple canes. I think I used it in another project not too long ago. This is gold fume, so I had a clear rod, gold fume, add clear on top of that, so it's already got gold fume trapped in here. So in some sense, this is kind of resembling a end of day marble. It used to be kind of pick up all the scrap pieces and make something out of it, which is what you could do definitely with this design. Okay, now I got another cane kind of similar to that, but with silver fume in here. yeah, just kind of have fun with it. Just try some different applications of a cane. I'm trying to build up kind of some complex depth of color and effects. Okay. Well, you probably all know what's coming next. If you paid attention to the view of the finished marble there at the beginning of the video. We're going to put a generous amount of heat into here and go into our pin cushion and give it a good impression. I hope we don't stick to our pin cushion too much. So we can put a little beeswax on there. Okay, I kind of did three areas. Now I'm going to come back and do this in between. Let's see. Try and hang on to this. So I really don't want it to stick to my marble. So I kind of went around 3 times, and now I'm kind of going back to the intersections. I may have lost track of where I'm at. I think it's this one. Just want to get some good, pretty deep, really push it in there and get some pretty deep impressions. Now a lot of those pinpoints are going to result in a kind of a bit of a bubble perhaps inside. That's okay, because now they're surrounding that bubble with all these different color and effects layers. Practically a pineapple set of impressions. So we'll bring this back to a cone shape. Okay. I think I'll get that point focused a little. Should be done with that guy for now. And at this phase, we are going to cover the back here with black to make a good solid transition and let those effects stand out against a dark background. Back here and in here and chase down these little valleys. This tends to result in a good layer of backing color and minimizes air trap. Try not to get tangled up here. I mean, you do that kind of connection on the fly there, that's a pretty weak joint, so to be pretty gentle with it at this phase. Okay, let's marble this down. And at that point, it usually leaves a little bit of bare spots here and there. Come back in and touch it up. Okay, what should we do next? Well, now I'm going to try and create that triangle effect inside the center. So we come into our plate, push down a little bit, rotate, try and rotate to our second position. I make these kind of firm impressions, but not try and distort too crazy. Because the next thing will come in and I'm going to be kind of pushing this point in, so it's flattening those positions, but it's also kind of bunching it up to make a little shorter, kind of a pyramid now. Alright, now, let's see, before we bounce to the next step, I think I will add some fume on here. This probably won't really add much to this marble, but never know. fill this back in to make it into a round back. So initially we're trying to drop down some clear without messing with the shape. A bit more of a gentle touch than I would do if this was all a round surface and I really didn't care about disrupting it a little bit. So the transition that I did here, there's the tip is a pretty sharp pyramid, but then there's transition zone to the front face where it's going to be round. So up here closer to the front face, it has a little bit more complicated geometry than the tip. And this circle around the tip is sort of less defined. It's kind of a wobbly situation there. So we're going to go and heat our layer of clear. And at least get that tip defined a little bit better. And then this front face side, I generally like to kind of come along here and have to kind of clean that up and make this a smoother circle. But that's going to leave us with these zones that were the flat pieces. And those areas we want to build up with lots of clear. Okay, so we build up some clumps of clear, and then we're just going to let this try and settle in to do its own thing. Appreciate anyone that's hanging in here at this point and watching how this comes together. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this. So we reach a stage where the surface is melted, but the shape is all over the place. So by giving this some time, heat and gravity, rotation, just let that shaping continue to evolve. Relying on the idea that glass wants to be round, it will find a way. But we're also kind of fighting against the memory that glass has. It remembers being triangular, and it's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Gotta stretch to new directions. And at the same time, I'm starting to build up this front lens area. And build that heat base and really get this entire mass be able to move and relax a little bit. But because us Americans are into instant gratification, we want to push this along with the help of tools. Okay, next phase is to work on the background, or the actual back of the marble. We're done with the background. Let's get another anatomy of a Vortex marble That's the pattern on this mug. You can get one of these too if you like. Now on the back side, I'm going to use some tan, some aqua, and then a multi-color mystery glass, which I don't really trust to be a surface decoration glass. So I'm going to come through and cover that with clear. So one extra step to this part of the build. Okay, space these lines out just a tad and hopefully get a little glimpse of that silver fumed black in the background. Some flashes of reflection and color. Sometimes it gets all covered up. Sometimes it's a little bit more visible. Some colors, because of the amount of heating and marvering and manipulation that happens finishing out the marble, some colors just can get kind of funky being left on the surface. You may not appreciate all these different heat cycles or treatment, even the interaction with the graphite marble mold. That can change how some colors behave. So before we add the clear on top, we're going to melt this in at least most of the way. Okay. I've got clear thin rod here. Sorry about that. So letting this cool down a little bit, it makes it easier to identify which one of these stripes is the color that I want to put the clear on top. And we're just going to chase down right on top of that color line. Now at the edges, where this clear is not covering it, that can actually add an interesting boundary zone May add some other little effects. Okay. Certainly some nice sunshine out there. It looks like some clouds are coming in. That snow driving up to Missoula, I mean, it was dicey driving. There was at least one we passed a little accident, spin out, whatever, going southbound on 93, and we were headed northbound up to Missoula, and glad I didn't get behind that mess. You know, things get really slick when it's right around freezing. I much prefer driving on snowy roads if it's in the teens or something really nice and frozen solid cold. Okay, that's melted down enough for the next step to feather these together. Alright, in this section to start. Need to get started with a good hot zone. Should have waited a little bit longer for that base to solidify. It's coming way off center. Heat up the neck there and see if we can get this a little bit closer to balanced. Pop that little point in. Give it a little coax here at the end of the cone. Otherwise we want to kind of let this pull together on its own. And we'll come into here and help it out a little. This one. Okay. Tip it up and let it kind of fall back a bit. I mixed myself up again. It's okay. I just had two punties. One's got a blunt end, the other's got a more pointed end. Doesn't really matter. a generous amount of clear on here because I'm going to tear a bit off. Alright, abstinent glass there. Well, it was kind of cold out here in the shop when I started, but it's getting warm now. A little tail end with some color pulled out, so I'm trying to be careful not to boil that up when it's heating in. Okay, looking for any anomalous glass that's on the surface. There's sometimes anomalies inside, deeper inside. There's not much I can do at this stage with that, but for kind of an even color when it's hot. Okay, and we got some final shaping to do. This is coming together easy peasy. And I got some of these ripply wiggles from tearing along that color edge, so we'll kind of run it here in the L-marver and just kind of barrel that out. Smooth out those little wobbles. I get this front lens side is, pretty well shaped up, and at this point I want to give it some time to firm up. And it's easy to kind of jump along forward and rush this at this point, but yeah, it's one of those times when it's kind of good to leave it alone for a minute. You can listen to glass and you kind of tink on it and tell how relatively hardened it is or soft. When it's soft, it's going to be very dull. When it gets harder, it's going to have a brighter pink nose. That's my technical lesson. Maybe one of these transfers, give it a moment to kind of set up with the new puntee, and then you focus on that new puntee and let the other side kind of run ragged, assuming they're not directly on center. I don't do any fancy breaking that off, just plain cut it off, pull out this little excessive spot, melt down and squish that little blib. Now we would like to ideally build up a deep heat base, but just on this half of the marble. And as every stage, you have to compromise and decide when you've got enough heat thrown in there to start shaping it. Basically, the more time you could give it at this stage, even repeated cycles of heating and cooling would be not a bad idea. Let the glass do its thing on its own. Every time we enter tooling, we it's not a bad thing. It's not like it's something you shouldn't do, but you're forcing the glass, even if you do it gently. This marble is slightly smaller than a lot of them that I do. It actually fits inside the 2-inch marble mold. As much as that may seem ideal, it might be. But I think for my purposes of making things smooth and round, I'd rather go with a mold that's a bit smaller than the marble itself. Because you get this fast spin kind of situation where it really helps smooth out the surface. Alright, this is like kind of a final heat on this back side. Don't see any nasty anomalies on there, that's a good thing. You can tell your heat base is pretty deep when the punty on the opposite side of where you're heating is getting loose. It means that entire piece is pretty toasty. That is the last punty junction that hopefully is close to a cold seal. Okay, now for kind of the final shaping of the front lens, we start laying it down in the back side that's finished and we know is nice and smooth and round. And then we come up and get that front face hopefully blended. Blend that curvature all the way through to the front. Last trip in the Marver left a little bump outwards on the tip. And I could run it through the Marver again, but I'm actually more comfortable with just going through a couple cycles here with the heat. And then we just have to kind of trust the reflections. See if we really have the right spherical shape. Alright, we're looking good. Just let this cool down a touch. Excuse me. Pardon me. Okay, some wet chilled tweezer action. And then flame on that little rough spot. Iron out the little wiggles. And there we go. Another fun marble. Hope you guys had some fun watching. Hope the rest of your day, rest of your week goes great. Get this one into the kiln. Alright everybody, enjoy your day. Until next time, take care of yourselves.